Danny?
Rory, out here. Congrats on your victory.
Thank you.
You had a lot of questions after your John Fitch bout, whether or not you still wanted to continue in the sport. Now that you fought again, you entered this fight with a lot of confidence. But did you confirm anything in there? How'd you feel in there?
Yeah, I felt good. I felt like my skills were sharp, and everything. It was like pure competition, and I was focused, and everything was good.
How annoying and how difficult was leading up to this fight, dealing with all those questions from the media about like whether you were still in it or not?
I mean, I kind of brought it on myself, so I can't complain.
Do you regret making those comments or no?
I don't like regret totally. I just wish I worded it maybe a little differently. But when you just get out of a fight and you have emotions and a million thoughts going, you just kind of like spew it out, and it comes out the way it does. And I'm not like that great with my words, so it came out the way it did, and that's it.
And how did you feel? You fought an extremely very good grappler, Neiman Gracie. Obviously, he had you in some submissions, attacks. How did you feel like your jiu-jitsu fared against his? Because you also had him in some trouble as well on the ground.
I felt fine. He's quick. Like his hips are fast. I knew I couldn't like overextend all of my ground pound shots like I could with most guys, where I could kind of sway left to right with punches. I really had to stay balanced with my shots because he could take my back, he could hip out, get arm locks, triangles. So I really had to be a little bit conservative on top. But I felt pretty good. I mean, I honestly think I dominated the ground besides the submission attempts.
Mike?
Rory, what kind of confidence does that give you going forward? I mean, you just went toe-to-toe with the Gracie for 5 rounds, largely grappling in a fight, and came out on the winning end pretty decisively.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's quite an honor to fight a Gracie. I mean, they have a huge legacy, their family, so I was honored to fight them, especially here in Madison Square Garden. He's a nice guy, gentleman, and he's a true talent. Especially, he only had 9 fights, and he's fighting on this stage for a world title. He did a great job, and it was a good fight.
How's your health right now? Do you feel, like some of those leg locks seem like, he's wrenching legs and stuff, but you're good?
No, I'm good. I actually hurt myself more than he hurt me, really. I hurt my elbow in John Fitch, so when I would do something, I would kind of re-aggravate it, but it doesn't seem to be too bad. But I have to take some time and heal some things up after back-to-back fights and training camps.
Was that the injury you had referenced to your corner after the first round?
No, that was kind of at the end of the fight, actually. But he kicked me in. He got a good kick in on my shin. But besides that, I'm okay.
Well, and then the fight ends, and Douglas Lima gets in there, and you guys seem pretty friendly towards each other. What were you saying?
Just chatting. I like Douglas. He's a nice guy. He's a fellow Christian, and I get along with him great. I mean, we're sportsmen, and I have nothing bad to say about him.
And Scott had said that it seems like maybe September would be the targeted timeline to do this final. You just did back-to-back fights. It seems like you got a couple things to do. Does that timeline seem realistic for you, or do you think you might need a little more?
Yeah, it's not realistic for me. I mean, I wish I could make it come true. I had a feeling they would want that, but it's just not possible with what's going on in my life right now, and the amount of I need to take some time to heal from these fights, from these training camps, so I could be ready for a guy like Douglas.
You got another kid on the way, right?
Yeah, that's a big thing. I mean, it's if maybe for some people they structure things differently in their house, but for my lifestyle, me and my wife we're a team, and we work together. So we need to adjust with this new addition in our lives, take some time, and then we can gather ourselves and get prepared for a training camp. Doing that while just having a new child, I think that would be a little much. Just stress-wise and organization, and it's just too quick too. It's like too much of a rebound for me to be taking on a competitor like Douglas.
Just last thing for me, that is the fight though that's going to happen for your next fight. How will the rematch with Douglas look different from the first fight?
Well, hopefully a lot less shin kicks. That's what I'm thinking. But I want to go in there and I want to finish him. It's been a while, it seems like, since I got a finish. So I'll be looking to bring it to him.
Question in the back.
Obviously, Douglas Lima being your next opponent. The thoughts of that fight now, how is that with your mindset? Is that something you're really looking forward to, or is it something that makes you very anxious?
I didn't catch what you said. Something?
Sorry, I said with Douglas Lima being your next opponent, and with everything you've gone through in the build-up to this fight, does the thought of that fight get you excited? Does it make you anxious? How do you feel about that going forward?
Well, yeah, I don't feel surprised that I'm fighting Douglas. I knew he was a strong competitor when I was up against him, and I knew we would be matched up again down the road. So it's not a surprise I meet him. So I know I'm gonna need to be at my best, mentally, physically, and I need to be. I need to come into that fight with an iron will again. I think that's very important to go to have fighting a guy like that. I need to be like a tiger, because with the hard-hitting, tough guy with skill, you need to go through peaks and valleys in a fight, emotional, and just push through them. You need to have a strong will. So that's one thing I'll need to be prepared for.
Question here.
Congratulations on the victory.
Thank you.
You mentioned that you're a Christian, as am I. I wanted to ask you a question about your faith as it pertains to the fighting game.
Yeah.
Considering the fact that you are a Christian and a person of faith, how does that tie in when it comes to the fighting aspect? Obviously, you're able to do both. You're able to carry your faith and believe in what you believe, as do I. But when you're in there, it's a tough sport and you're trying to hurt the other guy. How do you balance that and make sure that you come out on the other side, just continuing to believe in what you believe in?
Well, I'm not struggling with that anymore. I have complete clarity that God gave me these skills and this platform. He took me from a scrawny kid in a low place and brought me up in the martial arts and the fight game since I was 16 years old, and built me up to put me on this big stage, and I get to testify what the Lord has done in my life. So I think that's a really positive thing. That maybe I could reach an audience that maybe wouldn't be reached, in the fight world, about how good God is when you give your heart to Him.
As a fellow Christian, I commend you for that. Moving back into the fight aspect, now that you've won this fight, you're still the welterweight champion. Moving forward in the Grand Prix tournament, you're going to obviously try and win the tournament. How do you stand as it pertains to being the best welterweight in all of MMA?
Well, I think I'm up there. I mean, it's one of those divisions there's a lot of talent. There's a lot of tough guys, and the belt it switches hands pretty often. On a global scale, there's a lot of great guys, but it's an honor to be competing at the top amongst all of them.
Thank you.
Rory, hi, Phoenix, Carter Valley. I worked with you many years ago. You had taught a seminar, and you were very young and extremely mature, even at that age, just talking about positional awareness. And now, years later, watching you tonight, it was such a huge factor in every single thing that you did, in every single submission that you got out of. And I think like every jiu-jitsu class should watch tonight's fight. What is the actual training camps for you like? Do you do positional awareness? Is that like a main part of how you train?
Yeah, I mean, it becomes kind of second nature when you're training all the time, but when you're dealing with a submission artist, you want to keep your limbs in, because that's what he wants to attack. You know, he wants to or get around to your back. So you gotta keep your limbs close, or else they're gonna take it. And he almost did a couple times, but yeah, it's definitely that old saying, position before submission. You know, like position is very key in fighting. So definitely had to be pretty safe and
alert.
Safe in a lot of positions that, you know, maybe I could take more chances with other guys. But he's quick. He's got good hips and he's quite fast off his back.
When you particularly rate this performance, is there anything that you maybe wish that you had have done or gone for yourself?
You know, obviously looking back, I feel I wish I could have like pulled the trigger on the stand-up a little more, but his timing was kind of freaking me out a little bit. I wasn't used to it. Just kind of had this weird like slow fast, like strange style. I wasn't really used to timing, so that's one thing I think I could have improved on.
Last question, Josh.
Hey, Rory. Congratulations. So September is not in the timetable. When do you think you would be ready?
Like December, maybe November.
Did you prove anything to yourself tonight off of the Fitch result and all the discussion that came after that? Did you prove anything to yourself tonight?
Yeah, I just feel like everything I felt like after I prayed and spent some time to apply fighting to my all the new changes in my life. I just feel like, yeah, it's true. Like I don't need to like struggle with that. I can continue with how great life has changed and move and apply that to my career, and yeah, just be happy doing it.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, thank you.
Thanks everyone.
One more.
Okay.
Sorry, Rory. You said something that was pretty interesting to me that I was hoping you could follow up on. And when you were talking about preparing for Lima and knowing that a fight like that will have peaks and valleys and that you have to have an iron will, I mean, how do you go about making sure that you have an iron will going into a fight like that?
It's when you're training every day, you have to kind of have the eye of the tiger, and it's like eat, sleep, like you gotta be like chewing on steel, you know, kind of thing for 6 weeks, and it hardens your body, it hardens your mind. So I don't know, something about that just gets you in that mind frame of being able to push through certain low points. Whereas if you were just kind of training so, in good shape, you might slack off a little bit.
Is it possible to even get that for every fight, or do you have to pick your spots? Because if you get that for every fight, then you'll never know how to do your career.
I wish I had an iron rule every fight. Sometimes I haven't, but I'd say for most of my career, I've been pretty strong-minded and focused and trained properly.
Is that something that, when you think about having to go through a training camp like that, is it something that you get, like what motivates you to do it at this point?
The training?
Well, it's that kind of camp, to be chewing on steel, like you mentioned.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of becomes an enjoyment. Like, once you get into that zone, it actually feels pretty good. I don't know, it's like kind of, like you feel it inside of you, you feel hungry, you feel like a tiger, it feels good.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you, everybody.
Thanks.